Coach. We're making this video as a demonstration of the e-collar and what all the features of the collar are. So when our clients go home, they can re-watch this and have the information they need. Since we throw so much at them at our go home lesson, we just want resources available to them to leverage later. So when you get your e-collar, there are two pieces clearly, the collar itself and the remote control. And we're going to walk through all the features that you'll see on the collar and the remote. So to get things powered up, you'll see there's a red dot on each device. When you put the two dots together, which are simply magnets, it will power on the collar. It does nothing to turn on or off the remote. So red dot to red dot, power off, red dot to red dot, power on. Okay, so now this is turned on. To turn on the remote, there's a center button on the back that says on off light, has a big L in the middle of the center button. When you press and hold the center button, you power on the remote control. Press and hold will turn it off again. So I'm going to turn it back on, press and hold, and we'll talk about the level in a second. That same center button that's on the back also manages a light that's on the collar, and it's managed by quick taps instead of the press and hold. So the center button also controls a light on the collar itself. So instead of the press and hold, if you give it a quick tap, it'll turn a blinking light on your collar. Another quick tap makes it a solid light, and then a third quick tap will turn it off. A lot of people say, what's the point of the light? And it's simply for safety at night. So if your dog, especially if your dog's off leash at night, it gives them, gives you an ability to see them, to know where they are. And some dogs even leverage it as like a little light as they're looking around for, you know, whatever smells good on the ground. So we'll turn that light off and not be blinded by it. Okay, so I'm going to put the collar away for a second and talk about the rest of the features on the remote. The big antenna here is just that, an antenna. It gives you a half-mile range of communication with your dog. Most of you should never have a dog that's half a mile away from you. But if they're out in the yard or a play field or something along those lines and you're practicing your off leash, do know that you have a half mile of communication. The dial is managed by the little dial here that spins. We'll go from 0 to 100, sending whatever level is noted here on the dial will be the level that is communicated to the collar by the stem buttons. So the top button, if I give this a tap, you'll see the collar light up and it's sending whatever level's on the dial to the collar, okay? The red button is a boost, and we'll talk about how to reprogram that in a minute, but right now I think we're set to, yeah, +5. So when I hit the red button, I don't have to move my dial to get a higher boosted number. So it's automatically sending 5 points higher to the collar when I tap it, okay? So antenna, dial, stem, and boost. The T on the other side is a tapping. These collars, it really is what people would call vibrate, but it goes out in a tap, a really fast pulsing tapping sensation. And most dogs will hate that more than they hate the low-level stem that they work at. So we seldom use tapping. A lot of people will for deaf dogs or just a way of communicating with the dog when they need it. It's all about how you condition it. But we use it in a very specific low-level way. I'm not going to get into the training aspect of the collar right now, but this is about the features of the collar. But we use it in a very low level. So you can see Poppy's on a 3. That's her working number. So that sensation to her would actually be less invasive, less interruptive than the big vibration that would happen if that's the piece that I'm using, okay? So, other button on the back, there's a little MC button, a little tiny button here. It changes the mode of the collar. You should see 3C on my dial. The C stands for continuous. So again, back to these stem and boost buttons. If I press and hold, you see the red light is going to stay illuminated until I release the button. So no matter how long I hold it, I'm in a continuous mode, and it's controlled by the stem button. So it will continuously stem until I release the button. If I move modes to momentary, you should now see M3. No matter how long I hold the button, press and hold, you only saw a quick stem. You saw a quick flash. Press and hold, quick flash, right? So that is actually sending 1/10 of 1 second of a stimulation to the dog's collar. If I do it boosted, it's the same thing. It's still plus 5, but it's 1/10 of 1 second no matter how long I'm holding that button, right? So I'll show you that again. I'm holding, quick flash, and I release, nothing else has happened. Being in continuous mode, going back, being in continuous mode gives me the ability to give a quick or a long stimulation to the dog, which helps me be much more effective at communicating with them when they're under distraction, when they choose to blow me off, when they pretend they don't know what I'm talking about. The communication, the rhythms that I can create are much more effective if you stay in continuous mode. There is a blended mode. If you find yourself in MC mode, if you find yourself in MC mode by accident, it just means you've pressed this little tiny button on the back, gotten yourself into that mode, and you've basically changed the top button to momentary and the bottom button to continuous. Your boost is gone. There is a way to achieve it. I'm not even going to describe it right now because I don't want you to get yourself in that state. So if you find yourself in M or MC mode, just press the little button on the back, right? Little button on the back until you're back in continuous only mode. Okay? The way you charge your collar, there is a charging port here and one just like it on the remote itself. It comes with a power cord that has a splitter that has two pieces that plug into these ports. It takes probably 3 or 4 hours to charge it up. We usually just put it on the charger overnight, pull it off the next morning, put it on at the beginning of the day, and it stays on the dog until we leave the premises. You know, they would be in their crate unattended, or until bedtime at night. But my dogs wear their collars all day long, assuming that I'm home to supervise. When you close these up, back to the charging, your collar will last about 2 or 3 days before it needs to be charged up. Both devices would start blinking amber. I'll show you, there is a light here to let you know the two pieces are communicating. If either of these is blinking amber, it's time to put them on the charger. If it goes red, you really need to charge up because you don't have much juice left at all. If you're out in public, realize that you will no longer have communication with your dog if the battery dies. When these are sealed up properly, these little charging points, when you close them up properly, it becomes waterproof. So your dog could go swimming, go for a walk in the rain, play in the rain, any of that sort of stuff, and not be affected by the water in the units. Once they come out of the water, take the collar off the dog, dry them, dry the collar, get everybody back to dry, and then put it back on. The prongs that you see here can cause a pressure sore. So we want you to actually move the collar from side to side. So if I'm putting the collar on the dog's neck today, tomorrow I want it to be on this side. And it's just like when we wear jewelry and it's been on and it might be a little tight because you have to wear these collars pretty snugly. It can start to irritate your skin, and that's what's happening here. If you were to not take this off for more than 24 hours, you would start to see some metal irritation on your dog's neck. So just move it. When you take it off, the next time you put it on, move it to a different side, or maybe slightly higher, slightly lower, so that it's not always rubbing the same spot. If you do find yourself with skin irritation, just keep it clean. Keep the collar off for a while and make sure that that heals up properly. But a lot of people, those anti-e-collar people, will say it's burning the dog. That's not the case. It's just we've left it in position for a little too long. Okay? So I want to come back and talk about the boost and how to set that. So we like the boost because it gives me the option of having the dog at a working level that when they get really aroused, that working level is no longer effective. So we had a dog yesterday, for example, that his working level is about a 7 or an 8. His parents got here and I was at 71 before he decided that he was going to respond to me. So the number's insignificant until it creates a change in behavior for your dog. So if you know that arousal levels are going to take your dog significantly higher, you can program the boost to manage that for you and not have to worry about spinning the dial quite so much. So the way you change that is we are going to go into that momentary mode for now. So you should be in momentary. You dial down to 0. Press and hold the top stem button until it blinks. Did it blink?
It did, then it went to 1.
Yeah, so once it gives you that, you're now ready to reprogram that setting. So I'm just going to make it really big. So the highest boost I can add is 60. Okay. So once I've changed where I want my boost to be, I press and hold my top stem button again for 5 seconds. Right? So let's go back. Let's go to 10. So we have easy math, right? So if you'll watch the dial, I'm sending 10 to the collar, and now I should be sending 70. Okay? Most of you will never need a boost that big, but if you did, that's how you program it. Dial to 0, press and hold till it blinks. Change the level, press and hold for 5 seconds. And then remember to go back, little button on the back, go back to your continuous mode. Okay? So you can set the boost to be +5, +7, +14, plus any number. That really helps you work through identifying your dog's sweet spot for communication. And that should be it for managing our e-collar. These collars are from ecollar.com technologies. They're fantastic. If you've not registered yours yet, please don't forget to do so. And if you have any questions about the techniques used with your dog, give us a call. Have a great day.